what they believe in, all they all sync up to what I'm doing or to what I believe in too, which is honesty, integrity, knowledge, and forward thinking, like I said. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have a nice little presentation put together. Let me know when you can see it.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. So I was going to name this presentation, the role of nutrition and prevention, but I call it an audible. And, in business, sometimes you have to call audibles, just like Dr. Bill's Philadelphia Eagles are calling an audible with a hurt Jalen Hurts. That wasn't a dig. That was just an analogy. But sometimes you have to call an audible. And so I wanted to rename it a better way to do nutrition. And that's what we're doing is just doing nutrition a better way. I mean, putting it on the map, because for a long time, it hasn't been there. It hasn't even shown up. And so we want to do it a better way. We know there's ways to do it. There's ways to measure it. There's ways to evaluate it. But we want to do it a better way, and that's what we're doing. So I'm going to start off with a question. Does anybody know what the #1 cause of death is in the United States right now?
Biden. Isn't it cardiovascular disease?
Okay, Biden, cardiovascular disease. Anyone else?
Mineral deficiency.
Ah, interesting. Mineral deficiency. Anyone else? Well, according to JAMA, the #1 leading cause of disease is dietary risk. So mineral deficiencies, I would give you that. Dietary risks and tobacco use is the second one. And nobody's measuring nutrition. Well, a limited amount of healthcare providers are even looking at nutrition or talking about it with their patients, but it's the #1 risk factor that causes disease right now. I don't think JAMA is real big on prevention, but if they're saying it, it has to be true. And of course, everything asterisk, we're already testing for, right? So look, alcohol, drug use, air pollution, low physical activity, occupational risk. I mean, these are all lifestyle decisions that people or healthcare providers are brushing over and not even looking at all. And so we want to be able to quantify these risk factors and allow it to be another biomarker of health. I love when I talk to somebody and after I measure their diet and nutrition, and they score poorly, and they go, well, you know what? My doctor just gave me a great report. I had a physical and all my blood work checks out fine. I said, that's great, but that's just a snapshot of today in time. What are you doing for your diet and lifestyle that's going to make sure or help you have the same good result next year or 5 years from now? Because right now your check engine light's on. And just like in your car, if you leave that unnoticed or unchecked, it's going to lead to bigger problems. And that's the same with your diet and nutrition and oxidative stress and inflammation. If we leave that check engine light on extended period of time, that's going to snowball into disease. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at this oxidative stress from poor diet, environment, poor lifestyle decisions is what's creating this slow burn and now snowballing into disease. And when it gets to disease, then it's too late. Then we're just managing it. So we want to optimize people's health here so that we don't have disease later on, or we can push disease later on in life. So this is from the CDC. This is your government. This isn't anything I pulled up. Chronic diseases in America probably doesn't surprise you, but 6 out of 10 have one chronic disease, and 4 out of 10 of us have 2 or more. And all these diseases right here are lifestyle diseases that can be prevented. And we're going to go into that with diet and lifestyle. And, you know, we're, as a country, we're just eating too much, drinking too much, sitting too much, and smoking too much. And, you know, that has to change. Otherwise, people are just going to get sicker and sicker, and we're not going to get a grip of this. And, you know, it's an educational thing. It's, you know, it's showing people, you know, where to start, because a lot of them, I believe, want to get healthy. I don't think anybody really wants to get sick. I just don't think they know where to start or how to take that first step, right? And so that's what we're showing people. Take that first step. They want to see quick results. They want to see fast results. They want to see measurable results. And that's what we're able to show them. And so that gets them now into a mindset of, okay, what else can I do? And so that's where we can start creating positive habits with people. I mean, I don't have to go over it. The numbers are getting out of control. I mean, we spend $4.1 trillion. The global healthcare spend is 10 trillion. We spend 4 trillion of it on healthcare. And our life expectancy is going down, and we're spending more money than any other country. So I just threw this in here because I thought it was interesting. But these are developed countries, and you could see us way down here. We spend more than any other developed country in the world, and we have the poorest performance in healthcare. This basically tells us here that the US is good at administrative type roles, but healthcare, we're the worst. They actually had to reconfigure these numbers to get us on the chart. We were actually off the chart here. It wasn't even measurable. They had to reconfigure this so it can at least be on the chart. That's how far off we are with the rest of the world in our healthcare performance. I thought this was interesting. This was a prescription drug depletion chart from the University of Maryland, their alternative medicine department. They put a list of drugs together and what nutrients it depletes. And so a lot of these drugs are being taken by people every day, sometimes 10 or more, and they're becoming nutrient depleted because of the prescription drugs that we're taking. And we do see that in our measurements with people on high prescription medications. They score very poorly with their overall nutrition and their inflammation and oxidative stress. I know it's kind of tiny, hard to see, but a lot of these drugs are commonly prescribed today. So, you know, diet and lifestyle is the #1 leading cause of preventable disease, right? And nobody's getting optimal nutrition. That was a study done in JAMA. The Medical Association, the American Medical Association, recanted their position on vitamins and supplements, and they agreed that every adult should take a multivitamin because our soils are depleted. We have poor food distribution. People aren't eating the same foods every day. They're not eating enough quantity. I mean, less than 2 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. I mean, it's very poor. You know, and people are self-prescribing. You know, they're out there. They're taking their health into their own hands. They lost credibility with the healthcare system because it became transactional, and you know, they just feel like they're becoming a number, and they lost all credibility in healthcare. And so they're out there. They're taking supplements. They have no idea if they work. They have no idea if they're safe. They have no idea if the company you know, what's on the label is supposed to be on the label, but they're taking it anyway because they heard somebody had great results, or they read something, or, you know, they got a recommendation. And so, you know, we want to just do it better. We want to put that healthcare back into your hands, and that's what we're doing. So we got to make prevention a priority, which I know you all believe, and that's what we're doing. I believe we're on a cusp here where prevention is just going to take off. And before it wasn't able to be monetized, and now it can be monetized. Now healthcare providers can, you know, make money from it, and their patients are forcing their hands. Patients are demanding wellness, prevention, early detection. They want to be listened and heard from their healthcare provider. And if they can't find it, they're going to fire them. I talked to a guy, he fired his cardiologist. The cardiologist couldn't believe it. Why? Because he didn't feel like the cardiologist was listening to, you know, him as a person, as a patient. He felt like he was just, you know, had an agenda, and it was that way or no way. And so he fired his cardiologist and found somebody else. And so that's what we're seeing now. You know, patients are demanding this. So this is PubMed.gov. Again, this is the NIH. You know, these are all studies. These aren't cases. These are studies on nutrition, specifically, you know, managing oxidative stress, you know, fruit and vegetable consumption, making sure you have enough micronutrients. And so these are all different disease categories here. You could put any disease affliction in with oxidative stress, antioxidants, carotenoids, and these are tens of thousands of studies that are peer-reviewed and currently, you know, at your fingertips, and validates everything that we're doing. There's a great study that I'll show you on carotenoids and ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. So neurology has a great, you know, there's nutrition and neurology has, you know, a part. Oops. So these are different specialties. You know, in medicine, we divide up the different body systems, but really the body works as a whole. And nutrition is the foundation of that. You know, I heard one of your colleagues say that, you know, when you fix the patient's nutrition, you fixed 80% of their symptoms, and now you have 20% to work with. I strongly believe that. I believe the body doesn't want to be in a disease state. It wants to heal itself, but it can't if it doesn't have the proper nutrition to do that. And so what happens is it starts robbing from organs. They start failing early, and you know, it ends up losing the war because it's unsustainable. It needs the nutrients to, you know, to function properly, and most people aren't getting that. In fact, only 1 out of 8 people, according to CDC, are actually eating healthy enough in this country, which is pretty sad. And 7 out of 8 are metabolically unhealthy. I mean, you can pick them out as they're walking by with the visceral fat, you know, around their midsections, but you know, you don't have to necessarily be overweight to be metabolically unhealthy. 7 out of 8 people in this country are metabolically unhealthy. Poor diet, poor lifestyle. It shifts the biochemistry in the body, in the pancreas, the liver, and in all those areas that help with metabolic health. So these are studies with nutrition. Current, I mean, this one was done last year at Harvard. Just 3 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day can extend someone's lifespan by 13%. Here's another study here on fruit and vegetable consumption and reducing, you know, cancer. We have another Harvard study with fruit and vegetable consumption and reducing breast cancer risk. And so not only preventing breast cancer, but also lowering the reoccurrence. We have an OBGYN using our system and platform, and went from diagnosing 1 breast cancer a day to 1 a week. And so, he's a believer. Both his parents died at 60, and now he's into his 70s. And so he redefined his genetics through exercise, good lifestyle habits, and proper nutrition. Here's some other studies with breast cancer, and a lot of cancers. I mean, most cancers, less than 5% are hereditary, 40% are due to, nutrition, and then the other 55% are due to the environment. So we just have to stack the deck in the body's favor to help to be able to counteract all these environmental insults that we're exposed to. Here's another one on atherosclerosis, cardiovascular disease. We actually have doctors that do endothelial testing, and they've been able to reverse people's cardiovascular. We're not claiming that. None of the things I'm saying is claiming, but they were able to reverse the biological age in their patients' cardiovascular disease or cardiovascular system by just making sure their nutrition, managing that oxidative stress, and optimizing that patient's health. A lot of what we're doing for eye health, the eye is a complex organ, requires a lot of nutrition. There's a lot of prevention with the eye, can prevent cataracts, help prevent macular degeneration, help prevent glaucoma. Those are all, now some are genetics, we get that, but we have ophthalmologists, we have optometrists actually reversing drusen in the eye, which at one point, once you got drusen, that was it. That was a death sentence. You were going into full-blown macular degeneration, and there was no returning. They're actually seeing now the drusen in the eye disappear, the mitochondria turning back on in the eye. And so that's pretty amazing to be able to reverse macular degeneration and eye health. This is the one on ALS. This was a nice study done with nutrition, carotenoids, and vitamin C, helping to prevent ALS. And so this was nice to see, because this is just a horrible, horrible disease. Antioxidants and hormone replacement therapy, environmental in causing oxidative stress, inhibits erectile function, and also, low testosterone in males. So managing that oxidative stress is going to optimize your patient's HRT therapy, because now the affinity for the hormones are going to bind properly when you have that oxidative stress at a much lower level. Otherwise, you're competing for receptor sites, and now the patients aren't going to get proper therapy. Their symptoms are going to come back, and what do? We raise the dose of the hormones. Well, what if you looked at the underlying issue? What if you looked at the nutrition and their oxidative stress, corrected that? Now you may be able to give them a lot less hormones to manage their symptoms and get them back to homeostasis. And we also see that in diabetics with insulin, where the higher the oxidative stress, the affinity for the insulin goes lower. And so when you manage that oxidative stress, and they have high oxidative stress, those patients, and inflammation, when you manage that, then we see that the patients, doctors are able to manage that insulin a lot better and not have to keep raising the dose on the insulin. This is a study done on wound healing with what we're doing, and when you're managing that oxidative stress and raising antioxidant levels and carotenoids, the wounds are going to heal faster. You're going to have less complications before surgery, during surgery, and also after surgery. So we have a lot of orthopedic surgeons using our technology and our products. So what is the answer? What are we talking about all this? Well, play this short video for you.
We can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't hear?
No. You have to tell us what they're saying or summarize it. We can see the video, but we can't hear it.
You may have to share the audio. Like when you share it, you have to click on the share audio.
Okay.
The Pharmanex Biophotonic S3 scanner gives you a skin carotenoid score that measures the carotenoid antioxidant level in your skin. In less than a minute, you can find out if your supplements are giving you the antioxidant protection you need for optimal nutritional support.
We do not believe in guessing when it comes to nutrition at Pharmanex. We are using scientific research to support better health and help others to lead a life full of vitality. Pharmanex is the difference demonstrated in our research, in our technology, and in our products, because improving your life is our #1 mission.
The exclusive Biophotonic S3 scanner functions on the principle of scattered light called resonant Raman spectroscopy. The S3 scanner is the result of years of research and experience with the science of antioxidant detection. To understand the scanner's technology, you must first understand light. White light has all different wavelengths represented by colors. The scanner produces a narrow beam of light in which all of the photons are the same color, blue, but a blue that is engineered specifically to be exactly 478 nanometers in wavelength. When a 478 nanometer photon of light comes into contact with a carotenoid, something interesting happens. The 478 nanometer photon resonates with the carotenoid molecule and becomes a 518 nanometer photon of green light. Because the number of photons generated is proportional to the concentration of carotenoids in the skin, these green photons are then counted to provide the carotenoid score.
I encourage you to take charge of your health today. The first step is to learn your skin carotenoid score. If it isn't as high as it should be, supplement your diet with Pharmanex products while making healthier diet and lifestyle choices. And in a few months, get another scan. When you see an improved score, I think you will know that the products are making a difference in your body. You will have the confidence to know that your body is getting what it needs. Now you have become the difference demonstrator.
All right, it's can't hear it again, John.
Is that better?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Can you see my screen?
See your screen.
Okay. So this is the world's only non-invasive way to measure the two greatest risk factors for disease, which is diet and lifestyle. And we have over 110 clinical studies that back that up, the science. It's 30 seconds. It's non-invasive, doesn't require any blood, but it's more accurate than a blood test because it's not what you're eating, but what you're absorbing, right? So you could be eating the healthiest diet, but if you're not absorbing it, then there's a big issue there. I think we'll all agree. So, This test was third-party created at the University of Utah, wasn't created by us. It was the size of an MRI machine. And we purchased all the licensing and all the rights for $10 million. And we put another $100 million into it to get from the size of that MRI machine to a portable version where we can now be able to fit, and every doctor and every specialty can have access to for their patients. And so, like the video said, it's based on Nobel Prize winning science called Raman spectroscopy, which has been around for years. It's used by NASA now and the Hubble telescope and the rover on Mars. But our device is the only device for human use. And so now, it's no more, how's your diet? No more guesswork on that part, right? Let's put your hand on it and let's see if you've been eating, healthy since the last time I spoke to you. And that's when you hear all the excuses. Oh, well, I went to happy hour last night. It was our anniversary. Well, that's fine. What have you been doing the rest of the time, right? Because this measures back 60 days. That's the turnover for the nutrients to hit the skin is about every 60 days. And, you can do a measurement once a month if that's, your preferred way. But, it's a quick, easy way to measure the patient's nutrition and their lifestyle without, doing blood draws and all that. So, of course, it's backed by science. Stanford University has devices. Texas Tech, Yale, of course, has a device. They did a 10-year study for us on it, concluding that it is an accurate, objective measurement of a patient's diet and their lifestyle. And we've been backed by all these institutions as well. Our products were the first to be used in the Olympic team, and they're also in the physician desk reference, which I'll show you later. So this is the 10-year study from Yale that I mentioned. This was completed in 2013. This is the evolution of the scanner. We come a long way, just like the first computers, desktop computers, home computers, just like the first cell phones, right? They were big and clunky. Not everybody had it. Everybody, waited till a sleeker, easier to use, less expensive version came out. This is Dr. Raman here back in 1922. This was the device in 1999. Patients had to fly out to Utah to get the test. And then in 2003, we got it from this weapon of mass destruction looking thing down to this tabletop. It still took 45 minutes to calibrate. You had to use these special putties to calibrate it. Took 45 minutes to warm up, had to tether it to a computer. The second version was this one right here. And that was the Mount Everest version. That was the Mount Everest version. They took this up to Mount Everest and they got the same reading from ground zero all the way at the top of the peak. They had the same reading with the device. So, that was called the Mount Everest technology there in this one here. And then, of course, in 2013, we have the most recent version. We are working on a fourth version right now. We hired one of the lead engineers from Apple to redesign it. We're focusing on more personalized nutrition. So instead of just a broad range, you're going to get more narrowed, specific to the patient. We scanned over 30 million people. We have a big database to work with. And so we have all that to build into that. And we're also looking at DNA tests where a test would be able to do a swab on the patient, find exactly what, based on their DNA, that they would need for nutritional you know, corrections. And then AI technology will then go ahead and recommend product for the patient based on their DNA. And then it becomes more personalized. So it's the first DNA test that will also have AI technology built in and will do those recommendations for the patient. So this is some of the technology. It went over in the video using Raman spectroscopy, basically white light, one wavelength shines into the skin, hits the electrons on the carotenoids, and then those activate those double covalent bonds, and then bounces back as green light, and that's what the scanner is counting. Very accurate. It only has a 7% variance. If you want to put that into perspective, glucometer is about 35% variance, and I think a blood pressure cuff is worse. So 7% is very accurate for a medical device. So, you know, this is what we're doing is, you know, managing that oxidative stress. That's what we're doing through nutrition, measuring that inversely with the device. We know that oxidative stress, if left unchecked, turns into inflammation, and we know inflammation then can turn into disease. So we want to hit that off at the pass as soon as possible, get that check engine light turned off. And so, you know, we all understand about free radical damage. You know, we're always exposed to it, even lack of sleep, stress, that's all taxing on the body. That all creates free radicals. And so our body's constantly trying to combat this every day. Most people understand what happens to an apple when you cut it in half. Well, that's what happens inside of us. Most of us are aging 10, 20 years faster on the inside than our chronological age. And that's why the last 20, 30 years of life, people are being defined by these lifestyle diseases, because after a while, it all catches up. And then all of a sudden, where did this happen? Where did it come from? What have you been doing the last 10, 20 years? You've been abusing your body. And then after a while, enough's enough. So, you know, technology adoption, you know, when we first came out with this, you know, everybody said, no, you're crazy. This is, you know, we don't understand this. You know, we mentioned antioxidants to doctors back then, and they threw us out of their office. They said, you're nuts. Nutrition is, you know, we don't believe in nutrition. But after time passes, there was no studies back then. Now there's a ton of studies. Doctors are more open to nutrition. They know what they're doing is not working. And so now we're at this part right here where we're in the early majority phase, right? And this thing's just going to blast off. And then on the other side of this, you have your conservatives that want to hold on. They want to wait and see what everybody else is doing. And then they adopt it, but it's too late by then, right? Because everybody else is way ahead of the game. Now they're just starting. And then you have your skeptics and your late to the game, late to the table, right? But when you come late to the Thanksgiving table, there's pretty much scraps there, right? So you want to get on when you know, when it's really taken off. And we're there, right? We're at that point. You know, COVID, I know I said the big C word, but that really sped things up for us, because people now are really looking at their health of a different life. They're configuring things. They're thinking about it differently. I know I did. I changed my diet, and I lost 30 pounds, reversed my blood pressure. Now it's in a manageable range. So, you know, these are just things that, you know, people are starting to catch on now, and they're demanding from their healthcare providers. They want to be, you know, giving all the tools possible, and the best value to, you know, help prevent disease. You know, my parents got this. What can I do to prevent this from happening? That's what they want to know. So, you know, this device, you know, is also a tool that can help with, you know, looking at supplementation, you know, and is the supplements that people are taking actually working? And a lot of people are spending a lot of money on supplements, including healthcare providers. They think it works. The science shows it should work. Theory says it should work. But at the end of the day, it's you. You're not everybody that was in the study. So how do you know if what you're taking is actually working? That's what patients want to know. They believe you to a point, but after 30 days, they don't feel something. They're going to start questioning what they're taking and what you told them to take. But when they can see a measurement and they can see improvement, that's a retention tool. So most people think that this is a device that just promotes a service. No, this is a device that retains your patients, because retail supplements have less than 20% retention. We have a 70% retention with this device, just because what have I told you? They want to see, patients want to see quick results, and they want to see it. And that's what this allows them to do. And then it continues them on. So, once you have identified a problem, then you have to have a solution, right? I mean, supplement market is a $60 billion market right now and growing. It didn't get that on its own. It's because your patients are out there self-prescribing, but they're doing it irresponsibly. They're taking advice from somebody that's in their 20s, making some extra cash going through college, when they should be taking this advice from you. And so most of your supplement brands are owned by, guess what? Pharmaceutical companies. You might want to question that. Why? Because pharmaceutical companies have an agenda. Their agenda is to move their pharmaceutical drugs. They're not going to put a lot of money into R&D, into supplements, or into the raw materials. Because why? They want to promote and develop new drugs. So that's where all that money, R&D, is going to go. So companies owned by Pfizer, you really think they're putting a lot of money into Emergency and Centrum? Okay, a lot of you probably use Metagenics. Did you know that Metagenics is owned by Amway? Well, these are all companies that, that own supplement companies that your patients are taking, and they have no idea if they work. I mean, and so, these are just things that we need to be aware of. So, we've done market research. I mean, patients are out there spending the money. We know millennials are spending about 62, and this was a couple years ago. It's probably more now. But, baby boomers are spending about $130 a month on supplements. Your millennials about $63, but they have no idea if it works. And they're confused. They walk down the aisle. They have no idea if the products work. They're just going off a price. I mean, you have the same product and all kinds of different prices. They're going to just pick the one that's the cheapest, but that doesn't mean it's the best. So they're confused. But they would rather take a recommendation from you. At the end of the day, patients would rather take a recommendation from their healthcare provider on what their healthcare should be. And part of that is proper nutrition and supplementation, because we know that patients aren't going to be able to get 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. It's just impossible. So you have to supplement. You have to fill in those gaps where you're going to be deficient. And that's what we're doing here. So we have a product that's 7 formulas in one. We want to take the thinking away from you. We want to take the thinking away from the patient. We want to keep it simple. This is actually 9 formula, is an eye formula, and it is a eye formula and brain formula. And so, the patient would come in, get them, and it has 40 plus antioxidants, including all the, phytonutrients that are in the plants that patients aren't eating. So patients aren't eating orange peels. That's where all the bioflavonoids are contained. The healthiest part of an avocado is the seed. Most people aren't eating these grape The grape is the seed in the grape is the healthiest part of the grape. Most people aren't eating the grape seeds, they're spitting them out. So, these are all the different phytonutrients that keep the plants healthy, but also keep us healthy, that we want to make sure that people are getting in their diet. And so the products are in the PDR, the physician desk reference. You could check it out. You don't just get in there by luck. You have to have a lot of substantiation, a lot of research to get into there. And so it's the importance of measurement, right? That's how cholestatin drugs came to market, because as soon as you were able to measure cholesterol, that's when you're able to develop a drug. Same with bone density and calcium, same with vitamin D. Once you can measure vitamin D, you can monetize the test, and you can also revenue from the vitamin D. And the same thing with glucose. And that's how these markets all developed. And so, we have a supplement market that just kind of developed because patients are educating themselves, but we want to do it properly. We want to be able to, have a measurement for it. So it follows the scientific method, right? Evaluate, recommend, retest. That's blood pressure. Cholesterol, evaluate, recommend, retest. Same with what we're doing. Evaluate their diet, their lifestyle, their supplements, make a recommendation, retest. And so we talked about retention and compliance, getting your patients to be more compliant with your direction. And now you're getting paid off of your influence instead of, fee for service, which, that's the way it should be. So, most patients come in, they'll fail the test. They'll be in this orange and red. We give people a grade. Most people don't understand a number. When you tell them their cholesterol is 300, they have no idea what that means. Well, you tell them it's bad, right? Same thing with this. And they don't understand a number, but they do understand a grade. So we give people a grade. F is in the red. That's where your smokers and diabetics are. Your average American diet's going to be here in the orange. That's a D. People that are taking supplements are in the yellow. And then your vegetarians will be in the green. And, people that are, vegans, very, very healthy eating, managing their stress levels, get good sleep, they'll be 50,000 or greater. This is the equivalent of 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day when you're scoring 50,000 or greater. And that's ideally where you want your patients to be. That's where their nutrition is the most optimal. And that's where we're focusing on. Where is their nutrition need to be, where the body's running at its highest level? Most people don't understand what that feels like. So right away, when they get there, they're going to get more energy, sleep better, and have less food cravings, everything that they're getting from, a poor diet. And so I'm going to go into a little bit about the founders of the company. These are rock stars in their fields. Michael Chang was involved at Merck in creating the first statin drug. Joseph Chang, which is still with the company, he was supposed to sign on for 5 years as a consultant and then ride off into the sunset. 25 years later, he's still there because of the innovation and the excitement of what they're creating. We just released a product in September. That's the only product of its kind that addresses metabolic syndrome. So all the symptoms of metabolic. So we did tests of a sedentary person with metabolic syndrome. We did a heat map of a athlete, Olympic athlete. Of course, they're going to have different biomarkers, right? And then we did the sedentary person on the product. The sedentary person on the product matched the Olympic athlete with their biomarkers for metabolic health. and it also helps with gut health and inflammation. We have 7 clinical studies on it already published in reputable journals. And so those are the types of products that these gentlemen are putting out. But Joseph Chang, he came from Wyeth, and he was instrumental in Rapamune and a few other drugs that are still used today. And then, of course, Carl Gerasi is the father of birth control. I know that's an oxymoron, but he was the father of birth control, and he has since, left us. But these gentlemen all left their careers because in drug development, they send them out and they go look for plants, find a plant that can cure this disease. And so what they do is they go out and search for plants, bring the plant back, change the molecule, patent the drug. Well, these gentlemen said, well, the plant molecules are more effective than your pharmaceutical manipulated molecule. So we're going to leave and we're going to start our own company and bring all this research and use natural ways to heal the body instead of the pharmaceutical ways that are being used now in this transactional form of medicine that we have. And so they left their careers, they raised $40 million, and they created Pharmanex. And they were putting together really great products, but like all great scientists, they needed some help in the marketing and development. We follow a strict quality control process called the 6S process. There's 6 S's here, as you can see. Their selection is important. They only source the best ingredients. They want to make sure that all the ingredients check out and are, specification. Then everything is standardized. So the first capsule of the bottle and the last capsule you take is the same. The expiration date from day 1 till the last is the same potency. And these are just things, and every capsule is the same size. So these are just things that they are really strict on. Safety, of course, they take all the safety measures. We test for over 600 different pesticides, herbicides, chemicals. I mean, everybody wants to know, is it organic? Organic really doesn't mean anything. Organic is just a growing process. There's a lot of contamination that happens with organic foods in that processing of them. But we do beginning, middle, and end stage testing so that there's nothing in there. They did not want to do that. So. And then substantiation, they do double-blind, placebo-controlled studies on all their products. And so, it follows a scientific method. So you can be sure that your patients are getting a quality product, because, this doesn't happen in every company. Most companies don't have the capital to do this, to source the highest ingredients. And so what they do is they cut corners to make a bigger profit. So you really have to know what you're recommending to the patient. Just because they say it doesn't mean it. You want to check them out. And we encourage you to come out to the facility at Provo, Utah, meet the leaders. I mean, we have a scientific board. We have 75 full-time scientists and 13 different specialties. We have all these scientists here that vote on different products. They just voted to reinvest $500 million back into the company. Most companies aren't doing that. They don't have the capital to do that. So, there's definitely capital there. The company doesn't have any debt. And they're 38 years old, publicly traded. So everything I'm telling you is out in the open. It's not like a private company where they don't have to disclose that. Everything I'm telling you is out there because it's traded on the stock exchange. We're looked at by the SEC. That's why we have to watch what we say. And so, everything's on the up and up. I went over this. I mean, it's actually a $3 billion company. They're projected to go $10 billion in the next 10 years. The scanner's going to be a lot of that. And so we get 5th most trusted company in America by Forbes. And we get that consistently. A lot, trustworthy is rare these days. So this is one of the buildings there. They have 3 other buildings, three other campuses. So this is one of the buildings right there. A lot of what we do is epigenetics driven. We are the leaders in epigenetics. We purchased all the science for caloric restriction, which is the only scientific way to slow down the aging process. We identified all the genes that cause aging in the body, and we were able to reverse those back to 92% of when you were 18 years old again. So this is a heat map of your DNA or your genes when they're young, and then these are your DNA when they're old. So they shift, right? The switches turn on and off. The mitochondria get lazy. They die like the batteries in our car, and that's why we age. Well, we were able to figure out how to switch the mitochondria back on using nutrition and different food substances. And so we were able to then mimic caloric restriction with several of our products. And that's what we call our age lock science. And we were featured on the Discovery Channel for this. And, we have several products that target this and target all the aging in the organs and reset that. We have brain scans for, brain health, and we can share that all with you. We even do our own growing, very environmental conscious. We replace everything that we, select and harvest. We also grow our own substances, our raw materials, using vertical growing, using less resources, less water, and not taxing on the environment. There's some products that we can't get away from because the area of the country they live in, that environment, that humidity, that temperature, like we're talking about China in the beginning with Dr. Bill's son living out there. There's just certain products that live and grow in certain areas that you just aren't going to be able to mimic. But most of what we do, we're able to grow on our own. And then this is just a slide of what we do. This is 5% of what we do, but 95% of who we are. Again, why I've joined the company. We've fed 800 million kids so far across the world. We developed a fortified meal. There's 2 different versions. One's lentil and one is maybe rice or something else. But anyway, it's going to give them all the nutrients that they need to develop instead of just, bloating them with rice and water and bread. But it's actually going to be able to, sustain them health-wise. And so we're able to do that, which I'm very proud of. And so, we could talk about some, the revenue. I mean, I know sometimes that's important, right? I mean, we have businesses to run. I know, you have to pay employees, you have to keep the lights on. So it's important to, be able to do that. Dr. Bill, is it all right to talk about revenue, or did you want to?
Absolutely, yeah. No,
Okay.
We're good to go.
So there's 2 ways that you can make money with this program, and it's all cash. Is charge for the test, and you set that testing fee. We recommend $20 to $25. A blood test is $300 to $600. It might be more now, but that's just going to give you a snapshot. And of course, it's going to change when you do another blood test because patients aren't eating the same foods every day. So if they're deficient in potassium today, they're going to be deficient maybe in magnesium, later on. So You set the testing fee, if you're scanning 10 patients per day, Monday through Friday, and charge $20 per test, you're making an extra $50,000 a year. Most doctors will build this testing fee into their office visit or into a program that they already have established. But you control that. It costs you less than $2, about $2 to do a scan. So the rest of that is profit for you. And then when you recommend a product, every 100 patients is about 35,000 of additional income. So, you can add about, an extra 5 figures to the practice with this, with just 100 patients per year on product and scanning, 10 patients per day. And so that together, is a nice additional revenue stream. So these are some other examples, that I can share with you for, estimated growth. This is a spreadsheet that we use. So this is real conservative numbers. So if you see here, 10 patients a day, 2 go on a product, and the average spend is about $100. I put a 20% retention. Our retention rate, remember, is close to 70, and a $20 testing fee is an extra $161,000 to the practice, and that's only 319 patients taking a product. You don't need 3,000. So, it's a nice additional revenue stream. The startup investment is minimal. It's actually a little bit more now. It's $3,700 because of inflation, $3,700. But a lot of that's inventory. $2,500 of that is inventory. If you have retail products now, you're buying inventory anyway. $2,500 of that is inventory because we want your staff and we want you taking the product. The patient wants to do what you're doing. They don't want to do what you're telling them to do. They don't want to do what somebody else is doing. They want to do what you're doing. Look, Mr. Patient, this is what I'm doing. This is what I want you to do. And so we want the healthcare provider, we want the staff to build their story, build a belief, and get their scores up, because you want to be talking the talk, walking the walk. And then the rest of that is lifetime training and marketing. We give you all the marketing that you need to be successful with this. So it's basically a business in a box for yourself that's yielding another 100,000, conservatively to the practice. And oh, by the way, this is residual income. This is passive income for you. You don't have to see more patients to get this additional revenue stream. You're leveraging the current patients that you have now. And I can show you another presentation how you'll make 63% more margins per year, return of investment, with this system versus your current retail model for supplements. And I can show you that, and we could do a presentation if you like. But the point is that, this is residual income. You can pass this down to your kids, your family, if you want to keep it in the evaluation of your practice when you sell it one day, fine, but you don't have to. This is separate. This is separate that you can give to your kids, and they can keep generating money from it. And then they can pass it down to your grandkids. And now you're creating some generational wealth for yourself and for your family. And that's what I love about it, is creating some generational wealth, which is hard to do. And these are some of our endorsers that are using the technology and the device. Dr. Dean, he was doing these studies before and afters on reversing the cardiovascular health in the patients. Welcome to reach out to him. Dr. Ben Gonzalez speaks at the A4M. He's a strong believer. He doesn't put any patient on HRT or metabolic changes in metabolic health until they get their scan score up. Dr. Feld is the OBGYN that has diagnose one breast cancer a day, and since using the device, one a week. And there's several other physicians here that are endorsing it. And then we have some other testimonials. So, the window of opportunity, starts now, right? You wait, it's sometimes too late, right? Wish, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Well, it's the opportunity is yours to lose. So, with that being said, I can open it up to questions. I know we have some questions in the chat. I appreciate the time and thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, John. Question, is it covered by insurance? I think you mentioned something about that, right?
Yeah, we didn't want to go the insurance route because they were just insurance was just going to screw it up anyway, right? So, unless you're getting extremely high reimbursements with insurance, I wouldn't be concerned too much with that. Patients are already spending the money, and this is a way to control more of a control of your revenue.
I have one question. Have you done much animal studies, animal testing?
We have not done much animal testing.
Why not? So I've been studying this because you just saw me eat a steak here. So if you feed a cow grass and it's able to eat grass as it naturally should be, it will have a higher meat profile of beta carotene and higher K2 content. So that's why I always eat a grass finished cow. I would be more interested in actually testing the animals at the farm to see if they have indeed a high beta carotene content. So I know that I'm getting a good quality meat.
That would be interesting. Yeah, that would be really interesting.
You guys skip the animal testing, right? The human? Come on.
Yeah, I really don't have an answer for that. I don't know what the reasoning for that.
I want you guys to go to, I want to see this study. I want you guys to go to a feed lot where they feed the cows grain and corn. I want you to test those animals. And I want you guys to go to a place like White Oak Pastures, a regenerative agriculture farm, and test those animals and let me know the results.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
How would you put the hoof on the scanner though? That would be
just
trick.
shave a spot on their skin. It goes on the skin, right?
It goes on the skin, right? Mm-hmm.
That
would be interesting. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
You need to be fasting for this test.
You don't need to be fasting, no.
Okay. Is this similar to Megapoint Resolve spectroscopy? Dr. Dell asked that question, so.
That's a great question. I'm not familiar with that. But I will definitely look into it and get back to you.
Well, that's something I was just reading a review article on vitamin C and Alzheimer's disease, which was pretty good article actually. And they talked about a Megapoint Resolve spectroscopy, which they're using to look at vitamin C levels in the brain. And I was thinking that may be similar to what you do, but it sounds like yours is primarily on skin.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
How deep into the skin does it go?
So it doesn't go too deep. It's just on the upper layer there, the epidermis. It doesn't go too deep, but I could definitely share with you the Yale study, and they go into more details on that.
Oh, I would really like that. My other question is, I've noticed that a lot of skin products now have vitamin E or vitamin D or all sorts of things in them, and I'm wondering if perhaps that would affect the reading. Now, do you have to make sure they're not using skin products on their skin, on their hands, hand lotions included?
Right. So yeah. So it's picking up the carotenoids. So as long as
so it's strictly carotenoids.
Correct.
So not antioxidants, other antioxidants, correct?
Well, we've done serum tests of other antioxidants like vitamin E and vitamin C and compared them
Yeah.
to the skin carotenoid score. And we
Okay.
saw a correlation where when the carotenoids are high on the skin, the serum levels of the antioxidants like C and E are also high. So it is
Okay.
a great
Okay.
indication of all
So
antioxidants.
whatever you're putting on your skin is not going to affect that.
Correct. Mhm.
Okay. Just wondering. Thank you.
No, great questions.
Does skin color affect the results?
Yes, it does. That's why we do the palm of the hand, because yes, the melanin will in the skin will give a different score.
Okay.
Great questions.
Yeah.
That's
How-
also
how
in the
so?
Yale
What-
study too.
What kind of difference would it make? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know the exact difference, how off it would be. I could share the Yale study. I think there's more in-depth detail in there of why they use the palm, versus the outside. But I know melanin was a factor in that.
Okay, that's all the questions that are in the chat so far. Anybody else have anything to questions or to add? Going once, going twice. Okay, John, thank you so much. I have your contact. Is there if anybody's interested, so you can get in touch with me. Did you put up on the screen or just have?
Yeah, I
have-
could put my
Put it in the chat here.
information in the chat. Yeah. And phone number. If you have any questions or you'd like me to share any of these studies, I can definitely do that one for you.
Okay, so Dr. Dell left her email address there and was
Okay.
interested in the Yale study. So
I'll definitely grab that.
okay.
All right. Well, everybody have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And
Yes.
we'll
Yes,
talk
thank you.
next year.
Everybody, thank you so much for your participation. It's been a year for us, as you all know. Next week we have Dr. Halas is going to give us oxytocin part 2. We've already had part 1. Remember, all of our OSRD, all of our previous talks are at aosrd.org/webinars. They're usually up within 24 to 48 hours. We get sometimes we get the slideshows, we get transcripts, and there's video. So we're already organizing for next year's. We have a fairly nice lineup already with a couple of superstars. We have Dr. Smith, Pam Smith is going to be with us, Kathleen O'Neill Smith. I'm still trying to twist Dr. Lavell's arm again, and a couple of new folks, and some of our favorites from last year. So, again, all the videos are up on aosrd.org/webinars, we will have a small presence at NOMA's, Nevada Osteopathic Medical Association's winter conference in Lake Tahoe, if you're interested in that. They have an interesting format. They have lectures from 6 to 9 a.m. Then they break for skiing till 4 p.m. Then they come back from 4 to 7. So it's an interesting format. And so if you're interested in that and you like skiing, Lake Tahoe's world-class ski resorts. Any questions, anything left else for John here? John, thanks a lot as always. We'll have you back again in a few months with for another episode. if it's okay. with
Sounds
you.
good.
Okay,
Yeah,
if it's okay with
absolutely.
you. And everybody, like I admonish you every week, bring one friend and it will double our census. So we're a little light tonight. I don't know, it's Christmas week, I guess. So, but we'll be here same time, same station, every week as always. And if anybody has anything they'd like to present, please let me know. If you don't know how to get in touch with me, you should by now. Here's my contact there. And there's my text message, text number. And we'll see you again next week, and have a great holiday season, whatever holiday it is for you. Please spread the word, and we can continue on. So thank you, John. And if anybody asks me, I'll pass on your info, your contact. If anybody asks me there. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. John, you have anything for us?
No, that's it. I mean, thanks for having me. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Dr. Burgess, got anything?
Yeah, well,
for us?
no, I've been through this information before. It's a great company, wonderful ideas, and it's rock solid science. So thank you very much.
Okay,
You're
and
welcome.
you and Sylvia have a lovely holiday season also. Okay, and Dr. Rodriguez, thank you. Dr. Blanchard Stone, I don't think that's a new name, I think. So thank you for being here. We'll be here every week. Claudia, thank you again for being here the past few weeks. Dr. Patel, Dr. Akrabani, iPhone, whoever you are. Every week iPhone is on and I have no idea who it is. And Dr. Joseph will be in here in 2 weeks, presenting us the RAS system. So you don't want to miss that. Okay. So we'll be here. We'll be here. And thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Have a great holiday season. And we will be back shortly next week. Okay. Dr. Stone, thank you for being with us. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Take care, John.